All right, good morning, everybody. This is Shane Kiso, your chair for the MEG Transportation Safety Committee, November 28th, 2023. So welcome, everybody, and I'll call this meeting. As before we do a roll call here, some usual housekeeping. Everybody in the room, we have a microphone in front of us, so please use that when we can, just so those people online can hear us and everything can be recorded. Also, those attending virtually, please mind your microphone as well, mainly to put it in mute if you are not speaking, so we aren't interrupted by any background noise. We do appreciate that. And then for everybody, those virtually as well as in the room, please identify yourself when you're speaking, just for the behalf of those people virtually, as well as for the recording of today's meeting. The MEG public comment process allows members of the public to comment on items on today's agenda or on items that fall under MEG's jurisdiction. If you would like to comment on today's meeting, please fill out a request to speak card located at the counter to the right as you enter the room and give it to MEG staff. If you parked in the garage, there's a validating stamp also on the counter available as well. If you purchased a transit ticket to the meeting, also please see MEG staff as well for a ticket. All right, we'll now begin with a roll call of all members virtually as well as in the room. And I'll ask Mohammed with MEG to go ahead and do that roll call. Mohammed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, member of the Transportation Safety Committee. This is a roll call for quorum for the Safety Committee members. Please indicate your presence when I call your name. Tony Abo from City of Glendale. Stefan Bach from City of Mesa.
Present.
Michelle Bately from City of Tempe.
Present.
Hugh Biok from City of Goodyear. Kate Drunaski from City of Litchfield Park.
Present.
Austin Kennedy as proxy for Brandon Forey from City of Peoria.
Present.
Frank Ganani from City of Buckeye.
Present.
Tara Harman from Pinal County Public Works. Raymond Huang from City of Chandler.
Present.
Shane Kiso from City of Patty Junction.
Here.
Carl Langford from City of Phoenix.
Morning, everyone.
Greg Martin from Arizona DPS. Jan Martin from Town of Queen Creek. Mazen Muradovich from Maricopa County DOT.
Present.
Carrie Osborne from City of Phoenix. Dana Oceani from City of Surprise.
Good morning, I'm here.
Aaron Pinkerton from Town of Gilbert.
Present.
Glenn Robinson from FHWA.
Good morning, I'm here.
Adrian Ruiz from Valley Metro.
Here.
Nick Russo from City of El Mirage.
Here. Good morning.
Alice Ryan from University of Arizona.
Present.
Chris Salas from Town of Florence. Sam Taylor from City of Scottsdale.
Present.
Rush Thorum from City of Avondale. Jesse Torres from Governor's Office of Highway Safety. Carrie Wilcoxon from Arizona DOT. Are there anyone that we have missed? With that, Mr. Chair, the roll call is concluded and we do have a quorum for the meeting today. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mohammed. Move on to the call to the audience. This is the opportunity for the public to comment that fall under MEG's jurisdiction or are not on the agenda or that are on the agenda for discussion and not for action. 15 minutes will be provided for the call to audience agenda item unless the chair requests exception to this limit. I have not received any requested speaker cards for the call to audience. MEG also provides the opportunity for members of the public to submit written comments via the MEG website. On June 9th, 2023, changes were made in the process for accepting and sharing written comments from members of the public not attending in person. Any comments received 2 hours prior to the meeting have been shared with the committee members in advance for the meeting's consideration and will be included in the formal meetings. And I did see some comments that came out a couple hours before this meeting here today. Mohammed, did we receive any other online written comments for the call to audience today?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have received one written comment for the call to the audience, which has been provided to the members in advance of the meeting for consideration and will be included in the formal minutes of the meeting.
All right, thank you. All right, we'll move on to the next agenda item, which is Program Manager's Report. Our MEG Transportation Safety Operations Program Manager, Ms. Ferreira, will provide a report on items of general interest to the Transportation Safety Committee. Good morning, Margaret.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the Transportation Safety Committee. I have a couple of brief items today. Next slide, please, Mohammed. So just an update on our fiscal year 23 and 24 projects. As you can see, we have a couple of lengthy projects in time, 18 to 24 month projects. The predictive safety project is about 18% complete. We are working on getting the roadway characteristic data from ADOT. I believe Mohammed has been given access to that portal, and so work on that is going to be moving forward with the University of Connecticut, who's doing the work for that. In addition to that, we have the Regional Priority Safety Implementation Toolkit that is also under development. That's an exciting project, and we are about 15% complete on that. We've had a couple of tag meetings for that project, in which the tag members have been giving us some input as to how kind of the sketch platform for that toolkit will look. The consultant has been doing a lot of work in coordination with MAG safety staff to kind of solidify the actual data that's going to be used as kind of the basis of that toolkit. And we're hoping sometime in January or maybe even March, we'll have a presentation from the consultant on that project on kind of where we're at. In addition to that, we have some, you may remember the near miss analysis that was done in coordination with some road safety assessments that we've done, also in collaborations with the MAG Emerging Technologies program here. So those projects are 100% complete. I think we are going to be at least submitting to make a presentation on at least one of those for the IT IMSA conference next spring. So look out for that. We also have a couple of safe routes to school studies that we're trying to get complete here soon. I know that one of them for the city of Peoria is being extended into next year. That one is also kind of an exciting, a little bit different scope of work than our typical safe routes to school studies, where we hope to provide some kind of platform that could eventually go digitally for parents as an education tool on how, what the best route for their child to walk to school, as well as some educational and encouragement information on that as well. We also have a local agency safety study that is getting wrapped up in the city of Buckeye that we hope to complete here by the end of December. In addition to that, for the fiscal year 2024 Safe Routes to School studies, though those have begun. They're at different stages in development at this time. I know that we have done all the kickoff meetings. There's been some data collection associated with those that has been started. Of course, this time of year, we have to be careful to maneuver around some of the school closures during the holidays and during winter and fall breaks. So those are moving forward as well. We're going to have a comprehensive report on CME AZ today, so I'm going to forego that only to say that we're about 10% complete for the work for this fiscal year for CME AZ with the media consultant. And then a couple of, again, some exciting things coming up. We are going to be reaching out to members of the committee to participate in various tags for the upcoming Strategic Transportation Safety Plan update. I just this week am finalizing the RFP and scope of work for the STSP, and we hope to get that going around May of next year. So look for an email regarding that, in addition to the vulnerable road user network screening that we have as a project for fiscal year 2024. We hope to get that vulnerable road user network screening framework developed just before we start working on the Strategic Transportation Safety Plan, because that framework will help inform some of the pedestrian and bicyclist safety elements that we want to incorporate into the STSP, and of course in our work moving forward. Next slide, please, Mohammed. We had a call for letters of interest for nominations for vice chair. As you all know, our trustee leader, Shane Kiso here, has been chair for the last 2 years. His term will end really with this meeting. And we'll have a new chair, and Tony Abo will ascend to the chair position in January. We did receive one letter of interest for Mazen Muradovich from the Maricopa County Department of Transportation, who will then be the vice chair starting in December as well. So Tony will be the chair from January of 2024 through December of 2025. Next slide, please. I plugged this last meeting, but I wanted to get it on your calendars again, now that I've had a chance to kind of coordinate a little bit. We're going to be holding a roadway safety program workshop. This is something that we typically hold when we have a new on-call consulting list. We try to provide some really good information on how MAG specifically, the procedure for doing a road safety assessment. We've also made some changes to our procedures in the past 2 or 3 years, and so we want to kind of bring all the consultant teams up to speed on that. Not only the consultants are invited to this, but also any of you all or any MAG member agency that is interested in participating in an RSA team, or would like to in the future have an RSA conducted at a location in their jurisdiction. So it's really open for everybody. So just to save the date, we want to hold it after the safety committee meeting in January. I'm going to be reaching out to you all to see if that's, if we want to hold it the same day. I figure if you're already here, you could go to lunch and then come back for the workshop. Otherwise, we could hold it the day after. Just wanted to make sure that that's kind of a good time for everybody. So look for that email as well. And I just forgot to mention that the workshop itself will be facilitated by Mike Kuzel, who has served on our road safety assessments since the inception of the MAG RSA program. As the human factors expert, he is also a MAG safety program associate, so he will be facilitating that workshop. Next slide, please. This is something new. Again, I wanted to give a plug to some of the work that our Transportation Improvement Program folks have been doing in updating their webpage. There's now a section where you can, at the top there, you can see there's tabs. There's a new one called Grants that kind of gives some information on some of the discretionary grant funds that are out there, and some things that you can do, some links that are available for you. So if you want to take a look at that, that's something new on the MAGTIP webpage. I believe that is the end of my report. However, I would like to give Glenn Robeson from FHWA an opportunity to provide some federal updates.
Thank you, Margaret. So we have gotten word, next month there should be an announcement from FHWA on the next round of the Safe Streets and Roads for All grant applications. What we're hearing is that they should open in February, but again, it's supposed to notify us next month for confirmation. So that's all that I have for an update at this point.
Thank you, Glenn. I appreciate it.
Welcome.
And that's the end of my report, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Margaret. That was for our information. If anybody in the committee has any questions or comments for Margaret, feel free to email or contact her after the meeting. We'll move on to item number 4, which is approval of the minutes. This is for the minutes of the Transportation Safety Committee held back on September 26, 2023. Does any member of the Transportation Safety Committee have any comments or revisions to these minutes from September 26th? All right, I do not hear any. I have not received any requests to speak cards for the approval of the minutes for the September 26th meeting. Mohammed, do we have received any online written requests for this item?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have not received any written comments for the minutes.
Okay, we'll move on to the action. Can I get a motion from a committee member on the approval of the minutes for the September 26, 2023 Transportation Safety Committee meeting?
I make a motion. This is Tony Abbo. I make a motion to approve.
All right, we got a motion from Tony for the approval of the minutes of September 26, 2023. Is there a second?
This is Mazum Moradovich, Maricopa County DOT. I move to approve second motion to approve the September 26 minutes of meeting for the MAG Safety Committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Mazum. Whoops, my microphone. We will have those participating in the meeting online now take part in a voice vote. So please go ahead and turn on your cameras and unmute your audio. You need to see faces as a reminder so everyone can participate in the voice vote. This is to speed up the voting process. For those who cannot or do not want to turn on their cameras, staff will conduct a roll call after the main vote. Staff will only call on those virtual participants who did not turn on their camera. So members, please leave your cameras on until the vote is recorded so that staff can count the people's names whose cameras are not on. All right, we're going to move forward with a voice vote for those online as well as in the room. Those in favor say aye. Say aye.
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 Those who oppose say nay. All right, Mohammed, can you take a roll call? Please, members, keep your cameras on.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a roll call for members opted not to turn on their cameras. Dana Oziani from City of Surprise.
I'm going to abstain since I wasn't in attendance.
Raymond Huang from City of Chandler,
Aye.
Ward Stanford as proxy for Raj Thorum from City of Avondale.
I will abstain also since I wasn't in attendance.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, that concludes the roll call for members opting to not turn on their camera.
All right, thank you, everybody. So you go ahead and turn your cameras off if you wish to do so, those virtually. All right, we'll move on to the next item, which is item, it's like number 5. This is the local agency safety studies request, Scottsdale Road, Paradise Lane to Mayo Boulevard. This item, I'll have Margaret be introduced, and it'll be a presentation by Scottsdale member Sam Taylor. This item is on the agenda for information and discussion. Margaret?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the Transportation Safety Committee. Next slide, please, Mohammed. Thank you. So the Local Agency Safety Studies Program was identified back in 2017 based on many somewhat random requests we would get for technical assistance to fund road safety assessments and other type of studies. So we took some of the funds that we had in our budget from the roadway safety assessment program, which was at the time $300,000, and then I took a portion of that to put some funds into this local agency safety study. So we do an open call for projects every year at the beginning of the fiscal year, July 1. And we keep that open until around the first Monday of March. The reason why we do that is because, again, we receive these requests kind of randomly at times when an agency might have an immediate need for some kind of study. The reason it closes in March is so that we can make sure that we can get the work done by the end of the fiscal year. So that's the rationale for those dates. We have this year for the fiscal year 2024 project, we have $60,000 available. We did receive one application from the city of Scottsdale that was submitted in mid-October, and their request is for $60,000. I will introduce Sam Taylor from the city of Scottsdale, who provide a brief presentation on their requests.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Margaret, members of the committee. So we appreciate this opportunity and the local agency safety study program. We don't typically get many intersections that would be applicable for road safety assessments in the MAG Top 100 list. So this provides us with a good opportunity to conduct road safety assessments with MAG. I'll just be providing a brief presentation about the segment. Next slide. All right, so the segment is Scottsdale Road from Mayo Boulevard to Paradise Lane. As you can see, it's south of Loop 101 in Scottsdale. It's in the north part of the city. It's really one of our two major north-south arterial roadways in the city of Scottsdale. And recently we've been getting quite a few different development cases in along this corridor, and enough to capture the attention of our city council. It's become a concern of local residents about how much this development will be impacting traffic on Scottsdale Road and surrounding street segments in this area. It is one of the few parts of the city that has quite a bit of undeveloped land. And it's also currently, most of the zoning is for, higher density development. It's not, I don't think there's any single family planned right now in this area. So most of it is multi-use development or multifamily commercial type development. So we do expect some substantial growth in this area. It does currently rank pretty high in our city in terms of numbers of crashes. So in our most recent traffic volume and collision report, 2 of the 3 segments that this corridor is broken up into ranked within the top 11 of all street segments in the city in terms of number of collisions. And as a part of this RSA, we hope to do something a little bit different. We'd like to incorporate the active traffic impact analyses that we have submitted to us through the city as a part of this RSA, so that whoever is awarded with this will look at those traffic impact analyses that have been done and kind of predict how the road is going to look in the future and what type of factor that into the type of recommendations that the RSA will provide for us. I should also note the border with the city of Scottsdale's border with the city of Phoenix is on the west side of Scottsdale Road. So city of Phoenix is somewhat involved. They've been doing development stuff along this corridor as well. So we will be looking at some TIAs that have been submitted to the city of Phoenix in this area as well. That is all I have. Welcome to take any questions.
Any questions?
Chair, if I may.
Yep, go ahead, Margaret.
Before any questions, or if there aren't any questions, I just kind of wanted to make a note that there's a big push nationally to not only incorporate safe system elements into the many standardized, what we have typically seen as standardized processes and development and things like that, to include safe system elements or just safety elements themselves. And so there's a potential that this could be used as at least an information or a case study, because traffic impact analysis is one of those things where they really want to start infusing safety elements into that part of the process of development. So I just wanted to make note of that as well. So we're kind of interested in seeing how this is going to work out. So.
All right, I'll open it back up for any follow-up questions with Sam. I don't hear any. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Mark.
Sorry, Shane. This is Carl Langford, City of Phoenix.
Go ahead,
So one question, Sam, and again, Phoenix would be happy to help participate. Like you said, we have quite a bit of development along here. A lot of this corridor is fairly developed in a sense that curb gutter is already in. You've got a lot of medians. What's kind of the overall goal in what you think you might get out of it as far as a future project or things that might change based on the analysis that takes place?
Yeah, thanks, Carl. I think primarily probably signal modifications and adjustments. As you're saying, it is pretty much built out. There's some portions that are, kind of missing sidewalk, but that's just kind of standard with development that'll be put in. But yeah, I'm thinking mostly through like access control type of stuff, and signal modifications, probably what we would be looking for. Maybe widening of like bike lane or something like that. I think the bike lane's kind of narrow for that type of a street as well. So yeah, stuff like that.
Very good. Thank you. City of Phoenix will be happy to help participate.
Excellent. Thank you.
Any other questions for Sam? All right, just a comment from me here, Sam, Shane, City of AJ, and that corridor is very close to the 101 there, so I'm guessing there'll probably be some interaction with ADOT too, with just flow into that intersection, possible traffic signals as well too, which I know sometimes gets to be a big undertaking. So yeah, excited about that project for you, Sam.
Thank you.
All right, I don't hear any other questions for Sam. This item was for information and for comment. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Margaret. We'll move on to looks like item number 6. Or whoops, I forgot. Let me back up. I did forget. It looks like we might have possible speaking cards, which I did not receive. But I need to ask Mohammed if we received any online written comments for
Thank
the
you.
specific item number
Yeah.
5.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have not received any written comments for this agenda item.
All right. Thank you, Mohammed. Now we'll move to item 6. Item 6 will be presented by MEG Transportation Engineer 3, Mohammed Shahid. This item is on the agenda for information and discussion. Mohammed?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair, member of the Transportation Safety Committee. As you know, this is the presentation for the annual MAG network screening for the top 100 locations in the MAG region. So this is just an overview of the MAG network screening process for the intersections in the MAG region. As you can see, the crash risk ranking is based on a composite metric known as Intersection Safety Score, or ISS, which basically is a composite score of the weighted safety matrix of crash frequency, crash severity, and crash type, with crash severity considered given the highest weight, which is 50%, and rest of the two metrics are given 25% and 25% each to those. So the first network screening methodology of this nature in MAG was first adopted back in 2010 based on a Wisconsin DOT-based method, which considered the crash type, frequency, severity, and rate. And that network screening methodology was modified back in 2014, as I mentioned, to consider only the three metrics of crash type, frequency, and severity by putting the most weight on crash severity. So for our regional annual intersection network screening, we screen more than 22,000 intersections in the MAG regions, which include both arterials, collectors, roadway, and these basically serves as the next rounds, a road safety assessment or any project assessment that may need to be done in the MAG region based on the safety needs of the local agencies. And as this is a region-wide network screening results, we also have the capability to generate jurisdiction-specific network screening for each of the local agency. So upon request, that can be provided to the member agencies. So feel free to, request that to MAG if you want to take a look at your jurisdiction's network screening. So one of the important aspects of this year's network screening process is that there was a change in the mechanism of the network screening. So for calculating our crash severity and crash type score, we do need to take into account the crash cost for each of the severity of the crashes, as you can see here on the screen. So up to 2018, just before 2018, which is basically up to 2017, we used to use the crash cost, as you can see on the left box of the slide currently. But starting from 2018, which is basically the starting year for this year's network screening, 5 years of data that we considered from 2018 to 2022, which is the latest year. Starting from 2018, ADOT basically adopted a revised crash cost for Arizona based on FHWA method, which basically, provided guidance on how to calculate your state-wide revised crash cost. So what we have done is we have actually changed our crash cost based on what ADOT has been using, and you can find this newer crash cost on the right box of the slide as it is shown here. And if you look at the Arizona crash facts, you will find this exactly a new crash cost for each of the severity of the crashes. So once we incorporated this new crash cost, we basically recalculated all of our metrics which are related to this crash cost, which are crash severity score and also the crash type score. And we basically came up with a revised network screening results for this year, which was actually sent to the local agencies for their review and comments. So based on the revised network screening results that we have come up with, here is a summary of the current crash risk ranking, which used latest 5 years of data. As you can see, based on the revised ranking, we see a pretty significant leap of an intersection named Cave Creek Road and Sweetwater Avenue, ranking number 7 and coming out of the top 500 from the previous list. The reason being that the crash severity score for this intersection came out to be 1, meaning that, you know, there were quite a few severe crashes, including fatal crashes at these intersections compared to the other intersections. Largest drop were for 2 of the intersections, prominent drops, as you can see, from 19 to rank 94, Bell Road and Litchfield Road, and another one was from rank 33 to 96, which is 35th Avenue and Peoria Avenue. So for this new network screening list, we found that there was a total of 39 new locations. And as I have mentioned, that the list was already provided to the local agencies. But if local agencies are interested in more specific ways about what are these new intersections for each of their jurisdiction, we can also provide that to the local agencies. Please feel free to request that if you want to take a look at that one. In total, there was a total 39 new locations in the top 100, with 3 being in the top 10 and 16 in the top 50. For the existing locations, meaning the locations which were also in the previous top 100 list or in the top network screening list, we found that for the existing locations, 53% of the locations had an improved ranking, meaning that their ranking basically, you know, came down. For example, if previous ranking was 15, in this year's ranking, they came down to 33, and 47% of the existing locations demonstrated higher risk score, meaning that, you know, if in the previous list their rank was 33, for example, this year it came up to 15. And for unchanged ranking, we found that there was not a single location in this year's list that's rank was basically unchanged. So all the locations pretty much experienced, you know, some changes, whether to a lower extent or a higher extent. And obviously the agencies with locations in the top 100 locations, as you can see here. And we have also made sure to send the affected local agencies this top 100 list for their review. So as the next step, what we are going to be doing is that we are going to be posting this new list of locations along with the map on our MAG webpage. And we will start the process of now convening the RSA working group meeting with the top 100 list, with each of the locations having more detailed crash analysis and the type and severity of crashes, including the vulnerable roadway users, which will be used as a basis for the discussion of deciding locations for the 2024 RSAs, whether intersections or corridors. So based on those analyses and discussions, we hope to finalize the RSA locations once that working group meeting takes place in the coming months. With that, I would be happy to take any questions if you have.
Any questions from committee?
One question. This is Tony Abo, City of Glendale. Mohammed, what would be helpful on this table if we could have also add another column to it that shows the previous ranking, just so I know some of them have moved up and somewhat, just so we can see, you know, for each, one of our intersections.
Yes.
How bad or how good things are getting. So
yeah, we can definitely include that information when we discuss, but I will defer to Margaret to see if that is something we want to include in our document that is going to be posted on the MAG webpage.
Yes, thank you. We'll definitely take that into consideration and I mean, want some additional input from you, not only as chair, but as a member or a representative of Glendale who obviously has some locations on the top 100 from year to year. So definitely be getting some input from all of you on that. Thank you for that suggestion.
I have a question. This is Nazim Muradovich, Maricopa County. Mr. Chair, Margaret, Mohammed, thank you for the information provided. The significant drop in ranking in some of those categories are really significant and impressive. Have you guys considered or make it maybe a possibility to try to find out the reasoning behind that? Because it would probably bring up a lot of insight to a lot of different agencies and users to try to figure out what can be done and what happened in that case. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair, member of the Transportation Safety Committee and Mazen. So what we have been doing is that when we generate this list each year and try to look into each and every location, specific locations, what we have done is we try to see if RSA has been conducted at that location and when it was conducted, or is there any planned project at that location, or was there any project already implemented at that location? For example, HSIP funded project. We do take a look at that one. And as per our latest analysis, which we did last year, we saw that for the locations that had experienced an RSA or that had some safety improvement project, we saw that 79% of the locations which had experienced an RSA or had some safety improvement project taken place had dropped in their ranking compared to the previous years. But obviously for this year's revised ranking, when we will be basically convening our working group meeting, we will have that information ready for our members to see what has been done for those locations and if those are having any significant impact for the improved safety ranking.
Thank you.
Any other questions from committee?
Just to that note, Mazen, one of the things that I noted when I was reviewing the presentation was that the Bell and Litchfield Road is one of those that made one of the largest drops in ranking. And if you'll remember, the City of Surprise received funding through the road safety program for improvements to that location. That being said, I think it's, you know, as Mohammed mentioned, we do look kind of at a secondary level, I guess, into these locations, but it would be very interesting in the future. I don't know that we're going to come up with, you know, being able to point to any one thing at these locations that have a significant drop. But I think the point really is that we continue to strive to make safety improvements at all of our locations, whether they're on the top 100 or not.
Hi, this is Dana from Surprise. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, great. Yeah, I was happily surprised to see our Bell and Litchfield project, that was an RSA project that Margaret mentioned, drop significantly, because Bell and Litchfield and then the quarter mile to the east, Bell and West Point, are our two highest crash locations. To see that our highest city counts are now in the lowest part of the region, it just shows, you know, Bell Road, everybody knows we got 50,000 vehicles per day, and that's the most congested corridor in our city. So the improvements have definitely helped, and but we still have a lot more work to do. That's all. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Good discussion, good comments. Anything else before we move on? All right, I don't hear anything. I have not received any requests to speak on this item number 6. Mohammed, have we received any online written requests for this item?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have not received any written comments for this agenda item.
All right, thank you. This item was for information discussion, so we'll move on to the next item, which is item number 7. CME Arizona fiscal year 2022 to 2023 program report. This will be presented by MEG Transportation Engineer 2, Chris Scottsacker. This item is on the agenda for information and discussion. All right, I'll pass it over to Chris.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Margaret, and members of the Transportation Safety Committee. I'm happy to provide this brief update on CME AZ, our pedestrian and bicyclist safety education program. This presentation is mostly to provide a high-level overview of our program update report, which is available upon request and may actually be on the website soon as well. But if you have any questions or have an interest in partnering with us, please don't hesitate to reach out. Next slide, actually, please. So today I'll cover some background information, kind of going over the motivation behind the program itself and the timeline where we've been or where we've come from and where we're going. Talk about some of these most recent program results, some of the work that we're doing for partnership opportunities, and then our work with FHWA and the focused approach to safety, kind of with the Rutgers University team for that effort. Next slide, please. So yeah, going into motivation timeline. So these are some key data points that we look at. These are on our website right now, but all of you on the committee are or should be aware of the issue of pedestrian and bicyclists fatalities and injuries in our region. And I mean, that issue is really the motivation for this program. The creation of an education program was included as a recommendation in several RSAs in prior years as well. And road users are an element of the safe system approach, so it fit really well into the 2019 update to the Strategic Transportation Safety Plan. So over the last 10 years, the trend in road user fatalities has continued to climb upwards. 110% increase over the last 10 years of available data, 2013 to 2022 for pedestrians, 75% increase over the last 10 years for bicyclists, and 103.5% increase for all pedestrians and cyclists. On average, 22 cyclists have been killed each year over the last 10 years, and ped and bike crashes make up a third of all people killed on our region roadway on our region's roadways. And to kind of provide some higher level context, even from the start of the workday today to around the end of this meeting today, on average, someone will have been killed or injured riding or walking around our region. So it's easy to take in these data and recognize how they illustrate the problem, but we also need to remember not to check our humanity at the door, kind of focusing on how these are real people. They're not just statistics, they're not just numbers. And that's kind of what we're trying to promote with this program as well. We're not just educating the road users, we're also trying to educate everyone else. So yeah, education is just one tool that we have. It'll take the entire system to really kind of move this trend in the right direction. So with that, next slide, Mohammed, thank you. So some timeline. In 2017, at the request of the director of the Arizona Governor's Office of Highway Safety, or GOES, MAG convened a working group to develop an education and enforcement funding request focused on ped and bike safety to be submitted for a funding proposal. However, we were then notified that GOES would prioritize applications focused solely on enforcement activities. So MAG decided to instead use those developed materials as a starting point to create a task in the 2019 update to the Regional Strategic Transportation Safety Plan. So we conducted convened a task force in 2019, worked with the MAG communication team to develop some initial materials, such as the web page, the initial branding, and the start of a toolkit. And then in February of 2021, we brought on a media consultant. They developed an implementation plan for media ahead of enforcement activities that took place in 4 pilot cities. They also worked with the task force to develop a survey that's used as a tool to assess the impact of the program. And then that work continued through 2022 and into 2023. And then in fall of 2023, just this past September, we selected the same media consultant for a new contract focused on media, continuing the surveys. And then we're also working, as I mentioned before, with FHWA and the focused approach to safety effort. So next slide, please. So now I'll cover some of the high-level results from the media and survey components of the CME-AZ program. Again, more information on these elements are available in the report itself and then also upon request. We have a lot of detailed information on the media and survey, but yeah, just kind of providing some highlights here. Next slide, please. Okay, so as a refresher, the creative media that we are using kind of have 4 areas of focus. We have one kind of general for all road users, applicable to everybody. One set of materials focused at drivers, some at pedestrians, and some at bicyclists. So behaviors that each of these road users or tips that these road users should keep in mind. I have a list of our advertising categories. So like digital is pretty much anything you see on your phone or computer while you're browsing the internet. Digital retargeting is a tactic used for if someone has engaged with one of our materials, they might be shown that material again later. Social media, primarily Facebook. Radio is Total Travel Weather Network and Spotify. Pre-roll is a video that shows before other video content can play. YouTube, which is billed separately, and then over-the-top video, which is kind of in between other videos. So like on Hulu, if there's an ad. And then we also are using our bus kiosks as well still. The media impact is the metrics that we use to measure our impact are reach and engagement. So reach is measured through impressions, so the number of people that have viewed an ad, and then engagement is measured through what's called the click-through rate, or CTR, and this is the portion of viewers that have interacted with that ad, so clicked on it and gone to our website. Next slide, please. So in fiscal year 2022 and 2023, we had nearly 11.8 million people view our digital ads, nearly 5 million people view our video ads. We had a 0.26% engagement rate for our digital ads. So this is like just over 30,000 people went to our website then. And in general, this for total market results, this is in line with industry benchmarks. Pretty much all of the majority of our advertising categories met or exceeded the benchmark for the industry. And then 97% of people watched through the entire video ad. So if you remember, one of the things that we developed with our consultant last year was these 3 new ads, and they each focus on a different behavior, and they're quite good. So, and they've proven to continue to be engaging. So next slide, please. All right, so for survey results, the survey itself is quite long. I think about 30 questions or so, or over 30 questions. So I've just kind of picked out one key question here. This question asked survey takers to rate behaviors 1 through 5, not at all dangerous, to 5, very dangerous. So these are the percentages of survey takers that rated each behavior as dangerous or very dangerous over the 3 surveys that we have issued so far. So April 2021 is the survey. It was our sort of benchmark survey before we did any advertising, before we did anything to really get the program materials out there. And then December 2021 and 2022 are sort of first 2 after surveys, if you will. So our first three items on the list there all scored pretty highly. We're happy with those. With our last task force meeting, we've done a lot of discussion about that fourth item, driving, walking, or riding under the influence of marijuana. Obviously, recently recreationally legalized in the state of Arizona, but definitely some disconnect between the impairments that marijuana imparts on road users compared to the influence of alcohol. And then also talking on a cell phone while driving, scoring significantly lower than driving, walking, or riding while not fully focused on the road, despite talking on a cell phone while driving also being a distraction. And then also at the very bottom, driving at greater than 10 miles per hour over the speed limit, one of the lowest each survey, and pretty much obviously known to be a nationwide issue, but something that we certainly need to consider very, very seriously when we're talking about pedestrian and bicyclist interactions. So these are things that we're discussing with the task force. We may be looking to create some new materials focused on these behaviors. And I guess we're kind of looking at these first three surveys as, okay, we have a good idea of the baseline for the region's population. We weren't expecting to see any drastic changes in these over the first couple years. Cultural change takes place very slowly over a long period of time. And so the similar responses kind of show us that our question is good. If we had seen a big jump in one of these, we might have been like, oh, maybe there's a problem with this question actually. So with that, next slide, please. I'll talk about some of the ongoing partnership opportunities that we're exploring, and then also kind of an ask for everyone on the committee. Next slide. So we've been coordinating with our Human Services Division and are actually presenting at two of their upcoming meetings with different stakeholder groups. We're presenting at these meetings in the hopes of identifying people willing to collaborate with us and even maybe provide testimonials that we'll be able to video with a focus on the vulnerable populations that they work with. And then we're also exploring a partnership with a bicyclist safety advocacy foundation to create new testimonial videos. We've been coordinating with John Dollar, who heads up a nonprofit in the name of his son. We're aiming to film these testimonials in December or January, and they will focus on bicyclists and their stories. So we also want to encourage you all to think of individuals who might be able to give a testimonial. We want to keep the videos shorter so that they're friendlier for social media use. So we will be shooting 15 and 30-second testimonials, but and we can start going into specific subtopics. So some of those behaviors from the survey, for instance, distraction, or if you're a member agency that has a specific need, we can talk about doing testimonials for that too. And then we also want to encourage you all to reach out if you have events coming up or in the planning phase that might be related to pedestrian and bicyclist safety or activity, because we really want to get our materials out there as much as possible. And that might allow us to actually get some earned media where maybe if there's a news agency out at the event, we might be able to get in front of a camera that way as well. And that'll really help spread the message of our program. Next slide, please. All right, so finally, I'll be talking a little bit about our effort with the focused approach to safety. And again, this is through FHWA, and we've been coordinating a lot with their Rutgers University team. Next slide, please. So they have the focused approach to safety team has identified through their literature or extensive literature review these 6 sort of goals or categories of goals and recommendations for the program. So the use of data, different engagement tactics, location targeting for the media spending, the use of high visibility enforcement, different education options, and then engineering changes. And so I've sort of noted these as strategies that are already in use through the program, strategies that are planned for use, and strategies which is really only one. The engineering strategy is sort of out of the scope of CME-AZ as a specific program, but certainly within the scope of MAG's safety program. And then through focused approach to safety, the ultimate goal of this is to develop a strategic plan and an evaluation framework through their guidance. This will include 3 meetings with their team and the task force. Our next one will actually be January, I think it was mid-17th. Thank you. Mid-January, yeah. So yeah, with that, I think that concludes my presentation. Next slide, please. Yeah, so I'll take any questions. Thank you all for your time. And again, happy to discuss offline as well if any of you have ideas.
Thank you, Chris. Good stuff.
Mr.
Margaret?
Chair, if I may, before we take any questions, I just kind of wanted to give a plug again to the task force themselves. They've been active since the development. Chris mentioned that the task force was convened really back in 2014, but then again, when we were as a sub-tag of the Strategic Transportation Safety Plan in 2019. We've had some, people that have moved during COVID or changed jobs within that task force. And so I guess the other ask, and I was going to ask Chris if he could provide some information to the committee on who's on the task force. We'd like to kind of continue to build that task force. If you have staff, it doesn't need to be engineering staff or planning staff. It could be staff that works with your communities to participate in the task force as well. So.
Sure. Thank you, Margaret. Currently, the task force includes members from the city of Phoenix, Tempe, Glendale, Maricopa County, city of Mesa, Chandler, and town of Fountain Hills. Again, as Margaret said, we've had people coming and going as life events occur. And members of the task force currently do include engineers, planners, members of police departments, PIOs, both for street departments as well as police. So really anyone who has any interest or works in areas that CME-AZ might touch would be fantastic to include. And we're always looking to expand. That's one of the best ways that we can identify new partnership opportunities, for example, and continue advancing the program's goals. So thank you.
All right, thank you. Before I open it up, I just want to say, Chris, just that presentation, it really raised my eyebrows having to do with the public engagement part there. So that really surprised me. And then also that 97% of people actually seeing the media from start to finish, it tells me that, man, we've put something out there that people are interested in, keeps their attention all the way to the end. So, that was great. I just wanted to point that out. Anybody else in the community, any comments, questions for Chris? All right, hearing none. Thank you, Chris. All right, this was for information and discussion. I did not receive any requests to speak cards for this item. I'll ask Mohammed if we received any other online written comments for this agenda item.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have not received any written comments for this agenda item.
All right, we'll move on to item number 8. This is Maricopa County Department of Transportation high friction surface treatment. It will be presented by Maricopa County Department of Transportation Civil Engineer Mazin Muradovich. This item is on the agenda for information and discussion. So thank you, Mazin, for being here today. Pass it to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Margaret, and thank you, the MAG Safety Committee, for this opportunity to present to you today Maricopa County DOT experience with the high friction surface treatment. So My name is Mazin Muradovic. I'm with Maricopa County TESMO Design and Safety Branch. I'm going to present to you about the high friction surface HSIP funded pilot project, safety countermeasure. Next slide, please. So, as part of the Everyday Counts Federal Highway Administration initiative regarding reducing roadway departure in 2020, there were 5 million police reported crash across the nation. Out of it, over 38.8 fatality and 2.28 million injuries. More than one half of the fatalities continues to be roadway departure crashes. According to Fatality Analysis Report System, FARS, in 2015, there were 23% of fatal crashes occurred on horizontal curve, yet horizontal curves make up only 5% of our nation's roadway. So let me just briefly explain to you the difference between the open graded friction course and all the high friction surface treatment. Two different applications still used on our roadway. The OGFC primarily composed of single size standard coarse aggregate and high asphalt content with high percentage of air void. It provides a higher degree of friction as well as permeability to the surface of the pavement used on urban highways. Now, the pavement, the high friction surface treatment is basically a pavement treatment application utilizing a very specialized aggregate referenced as calcium bauxite, which is a polish resistant, extremely hard aggregate, varying in size and angularity, spraying over a thin layer of binder designed to provide high friction value to help reduce serious crashes during wet and dry condition. And when we tested this application later on, it was really had some good result about the values of the friction course on wet and dry conditions. So where do we apply this? There's several criteria that has been applied to. One of them, and one of the major ones, is the horizontal curves. Intersections is a new application, something that I'd like to lead to that at some point because we have a lot of issues at the intersections and the runoff road red light, which maybe would help to have this applied. Right now, Florida's DOT are doing a pilot project on that, and we are actually in the process of following up to find out more information about it. Another application that can be done is on the on and off ramps, especially elevation change, loop ramps. Steep grades, downgrades, definitely an allocation that we have to keep an eye on, as well as the line of sight problem locations. So briefly, and the committee, I'm pretty sure aware of the HSIP funded. This project was awarded to Maricopa County early 2018. The project was actually implemented in 2019 and completed in January 2020. We had to look at some locations that was of serious crash concern to us, and then we had to select a couple of locations and apply HSIP funded, which we ended up getting the funding for. It required us to provide a benefit cost ratio of 1.5. The application of the friction cores reflected a value of 12.9. So these all were led to the fact that providing the countermeasures with the high crash reduction factors provided us to have a value of 12.9 BC ratio, which actually was a catalyst to try to get us some funding and to get approved for the program. So there was two locations that was selected to for our project. One of them, and it kind of utilized the downgrade application or condition. This is a bush highway. It's a scenic highway. It's really a Forest Service road. Maricopa County maintained the road, but the road is actually not to to the best of standards, and it requires a lot of changes to the condition to really get the right super elevation. So the super elevation was reversed at some point. So we needed to figure out a way to apply this friction course to see if we can get some good tracking on the road and provide us with the control. A lot of serious crashes occurred at this location, attributed to the speeding as well as lack of control. Unfortunately, there's a lot of motorcycles that use this scenic route due to the beauty and the scene and the scenery, but it caused a lot of problem on the road. So we had to select those locations based on where those serious crashes occurred at the time. The second location was selected based on a horizontal curve scenario. This is pretty much both locations. You can say it more like a suburban, maybe morely rural condition. But due to the existing conditions, speeders were encouraged due to the open roads. And when you encounter a curve, approaching a curve at certain time of the day, it would really cause for the vehicles to lose control. And we've had a lot of locations on that particular road, also locations where we had a lot of fatality and crashes and serious crashes based on runoff road along the curves on both sides. So it was very important for us as Maricopa County, as we actually implemented this project, is to find out at a later time is what is the result of this application. I was very interested in finding out two things really. One of them is what is the coefficient of friction values that actually develop over the years since the day of application. And then the second one is what is the crash condition there. We have been really very fortunate, Maricopa County, to reach out and cooperate with Arizona DPS vehicle crime units, who are very interested in this application. And they've been helping us since the day we've completed the project on a daily basis on both locations back and forth to go ahead and find out and help us with their equipment to try to give us some coefficient of friction values, which have turned out to be very good so far. So this, what you see in this picture, is basically an image of the brake meter that they use in their vehicles, and then also the inside of the vehicles. There you can see that same equipment on the dashboard, and that's an image that was actually on the test vehicle that we were able to capture on a drone video. So we've been working with them for a while, and we are actually about to do another test here coming up soon in middle of December. And in order for us to try to see what the results are, we're collecting the data, consolidating the data, and trying to figure out how the trend goes with regard to the friction course as well as the crash data. So just a glimpse of what the coefficient friction value that I have on Maricopa Road. And you can see that starting right at May 2019, that's way before the project was completed. Project was completed actually December 2019, and then opened totally with the striping thermoplastic in about a month after that, which is January 2020. So we went back there in December. This is right after the project was completed, and the results was provided by the contractor as we added a language in the special provision for them to do that. In February 2020, we came back. So they can see the trend. We are right before the 2019. We have a value on the existing surface of about between 6.65 to 0.75. As the application have been applied and then on the road, on the surface to date, we have values that still are in the 90s right now. This is pretty impressive to me, as the friction course considered to be anything between 6 and 5 to 7 will still be considered fine. This is a very big very special materials and still holding tight. So we're going to be doing something in December, on December 19, coming up here next month to try to continue to get the data. As you can see, the variance on the last two tests, we're just having a very, very minor change. It is definitely dropping. We expected to drop with time, but it is holding so far so good. The next slide shows a little bit of information regarding the crash data. And so we have really been lucky so far to get some low crashes and in the very low categories. So far so good. We'll continue to do that as long as the project and the surface is intact and is holding on pretty good. So like share with you this video. So a couple of videos that we took actually at the time is regarding a non-high friction surface area chip seal that was done with a non-ABS anti-brake system. If you could play that video, please. And again, this is on Maricopa Road. So as you notice, the surface itself is wet, and we make sure that we have a water truck available for us at the time. It looks like it was raining, but I mean, that was part of the plan intended for this testing. So this sliding, skidding distance is really pretty good. This is as I said, this is chip seal. It's not the friction core. So we can expect it to be that way. So it's going to be difficult to control the vehicle. The second one is a test done on an actual high friction surface segment right in that area. You can see the difference in the surface texture there. Definitely more control, and we've done these tests on three trials at different locations along that portion of the road. Next one, please. So to end this presentation I have to say this is a brand new application for the Maricopa County and Arizona, state of Arizona, but it does have a little bit of value upfront as applied. Our intention here is to look through this, find out if we can get a long-term benefit out of this application that will give us more value to the saving life. So the idea is, you know, and Mohammed just mentioned a while ago about the value of the current fatality on this one being almost over 9 million. If we could save life by applying this, and then we're able to provide funding, then this is a very good, encouraging sign. So I also have to add that we've recently received funding to do another project for Maricopa County on the All US 80, and looking forward to that. But so far, the results we've been getting from other states have shown that this treatment doing well, and it has a life cycle of about an average of 10 years. So we're going to continue working on this and getting the data collected, and then we will see how we go with that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mizan. I guess I have a question. That square yardage cost, wow, that's pretty high for treatment. So I'm guessing it's the aggregate that's probably, I guess I'm curious where that's sourced out of, if that's what.
It's probably the material availability. This material is not really available on the shelf anywhere, but it comes from outside the United States. There's also available sources in the United States. It comes from India, from China, but there's also available. So like I said, it is something that's not available and then cost effective immediately at this point, but the results that we're looking for would actually lead us to the fact that this can be helpful and we can actually get the benefit on the long run. Besides, other states have used it in other locations, and they have actually showed results that this stuff does work, and it's still in good condition.
And have you used other just more easily procured fractured aggregate, I guess, in other treatments and other locations? I guess I'm curious if you've studied that too in relation to the skid resistance of this material.
we have not had any information regarding others. There has been some stuff that used on surfaces on bridges, for example, but these were mostly meant for like control and then condition of the surface. So it's totally different because of the type of the aggregate and the condition and the way it function. So I don't think there is anything available right now that would compensate this material, as far as I know.
Okay. Thank you. I'll open it up to anybody else of the committee. Any questions for Mazan?
If I may, Mr. Chair. Mazan, thank you for the presentation. I have a question and then a comment.
Sure.
The question is, you mentioned motorcycles in your data or some of the concerns that you were having. I'm curious as to if either in these tests or in tests in other states, if they use motorcycles to do the testing and not a passenger vehicle like is shown here in the videos, and what if any results there were?
That's a good question. I have no idea about whether that has been conducted or not. Certainly it is not a very pleasant experience for a crash to happen for the motorcycle because of the exposure. I don't have any information regarding that. Testing itself.
It'd be interesting to know
Yeah,
if that were
absolutely.
happening as well. I'd be interested to see how a motorcycle navigates that test the way that passenger vehicle did. So,
Sure.
and then just to say that I always like to bring presentations like this to the safety committee when we have an application that's been implemented here in the MAG region. That can give some context to the rest of us that has had some positive results. I guess just to open it up to any of our other member agencies that have some of a similar project that they've implemented that are seeing that you're doing testing on and are seeing some good results. I'd like to bring those to the committee as well for their information. And then just a note that based on, Shane's conversation, the cost is quite a bit, but I think one of the things that we're all beginning to realize that needs to be more widely recognized is that, saving lives. If you saw the before and after that Mazin showed, it went from, 2 to 3 fatalities all the way down to 0. It's going to take some funding to save lives. So just to make that point, that commentary.
If
Hey,
I may-
Mazen, I was going to say I had a question if you have time.
Sam, go ahead.
Yeah, Mazen, I just had a question. When it comes to like time to do pavement treatment or rehabilitation on that roadway, what is your plan? Will you have to do like another type of a treatment and then the high surface friction treatment, or can you just reapply it? Or have you guys thought of that yet?
Yeah, that's a good question, Sam. First of all, we're trying to kind of keep the seal on this one in the sense of I'm not really, well, our section is not allowing pavement design to do any kind of testing depending on the condition. So we're trying to keep it as long as we can. Now, it is probably not an easy thing to deal with something like that as far as replacing, because you're going to have to basically scoop all that surface, which is very, very a thin layer, and treat the treatment underneath it. One of the most significant matters of this application is that in order for us to have a good cost-effective application like that, then it is necessary, and something we spell out a lot in our, we did spell it out in our special provision, is to have a very good base to this. Without it, it's useless and redundant. So we make sure that this existing surface is in a good shape. And if it's been treated the last 30 days, that would be the best condition. So we make sure, and we have been lucky in the county, is to provide this kind of treatment prior to the application outside the scope of the HSIP funding, because it might cost us. So we were able to convince management about the value of that. So the bottom line is that the secret or the towards maintaining this longer time, so make sure it does have a good start at the beginning, a good base, and make sure it doesn't have any issues with it, because without that, then you're gonna be done. I mean, so far, we're looking at this now 3 years later, 3 summers later, and we have seeing really some good stuff there, good result, and eventually it might at some point maybe collapse in the sense of the sub basement at some point, but so far so good. So we're trying to keep it as much as possible, but it's important to make sure that this is done on a good surface.
Thank you.
Aaron Pearson here with the town of Gilbert. Question for you from a cyclist perspective. How does the material wear as the friction kind of reduces? Is it kind of similar to chip seal where it kind of leaves a gravel residue on the shoulder? Does the cyclist have to navigate around as well, or does it just kind of more like a concrete where it slowly just smooths over time?
I believe it does smooth over time. At first, it sheds right after the first application, and that's common. And then you're gonna clean it up and then wash it away. But so far, it's gonna wear out with time, no doubt about it. But it's just a very slow process. And so, and then the thing about it is that you can track that down by looking at the friction coefficient, friction values. When you have something like that, it certainly is looking good so far. But eventually, I would say, I mean, some of these East Coast state highway have actually shown this surfaces go for as long as 10 years. So hopefully this would work for us too. In Arizona, it's a different condition, but we're gonna keep an eye on that, hopefully.
Thank you.
And I just have one last comment myself too. City of AJ, we started using recycled asphalt pavement crushed for our chip seals a couple years ago, and we found out chip retention is longer, the life of the overall treatment is longer. I'd be curious for further studies with the use of RAP too, because that would be a fractured aggregate that with the test that you're doing, how that would actually hold up too. And back to Margaret's point, RAP is plentiful. It's cheap. We could do a lot more safety horizontal curves, you know, for that price than what the product is you're using. Not that it's a bad product, but I'm just thinking, what more can we do safety wise with the money that we do have? And so I'd be just curious if the county, you know, Maricopa County has some RAP that they might be using too, and test that and compare that.
Yeah, I'm not aware of that particular application related to the sections of the friction course, but it's an idea to entertain with our pavement management program.
All right, thank you, Ms. Anya. Is there any last questions, comments?
If I may, Mr. Chair, just a quick question regarding the crash data
Yes,
that
Mohammed.
you presented. So are those crashes for the before and after period runoff road crashes or all crashes? Because
Before and after,
Yeah.
and like I said, part of the part of the application for the HSIP is to provide the data available on record for the program to show that this number of serious actually can play a role in the values that actually contribute to the benefit cost ratio. So yeah, to answer your question, that was before, and then everything after December 2019 was actually based on data that was collected after that.
So just a quick follow-up, and it's actually something, I'm glad Mohammed brought it up because it's something that I was thinking about when I was reviewing these slides. And I was trying to find some data relevant to the MAG region to input into the presentation or to give some context to the committee. And I stopped because I wasn't sure what specific query elements were used for these particular crashes. And I noticed in your HSIP application that there were some single car crashes, obviously fatal and serious injury. I saw some runoff road. And then I got to seeing some, the first harmful where they hit a curb. So were there like specific elements of the analysis that you omitted for this for this application, specifically for the crash modification or for the countermeasure?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the basic criteria was based on runoff road condition. And when you're dealing with a situation like a curve, like you want to make sure that runoff road condition has been actually had occurred. And then the result of those, we're looking into the serious ones. So fatal and incapacitating or the very serious were actually on the top of the list to determine, because this would have more values to get you to the reduction phase. So these basically were the original conditions that we've implemented.
So your initial query was for runoff road
Yeah.
for a certain period of time, and then you, okay,
True, yeah.
okay, thank you.
All right, good discussion. We'll look to move on here. I did not receive any requests to speak cards for item number 8. I'll ask Mohammed if we had any online written comments for this agenda item.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have not received any written comments for this agenda item.
All right, thank you. So that was for information discussion. So we'll move on to item 99, item number 9. This is reports by committee members. This is for information only. I would like to invite any members at this time of the Transportation Safety Committee to report on any ongoing safety-related project activities in their jurisdiction. We'll begin with those here in the person in the room, and then Mohammed will use the roll sheet to request member reports from those attending virtually. So maybe I'll start with me first here. City of Agia, I don't have any report, I don't think, at this time. So I'll pass it on to Tony.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a quick note that the Hawk we have 2 Hawks, which we've completed the design on. The first one is at 53rd and Camelback. That's going to council within the next 2 weeks. So hopefully we'll be in construction sometime after the beginning of the year. And then the other one that we have is another Hawk at 58th Avenue and Bethany Home Road. And that's going to be advertised in December, and we're hoping to open bids in the first week in January. So we're looking forward to those 2 being implemented, because they were 2 of the locations where we were seeing a lot of pedestrian crashes. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Tony. Mazen?
Nothing from Maricopa County this morning. Thank you.
Yeah, you just gave a good report. Michelle?
This is Michelle. No updates from Tempe today.
FHWA?
Nothing to report, Mr. Chairman.
All right, I don't think anybody else in the room. Pass it to Mohammed for those attending virtually.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, member of the Transportation Safety Committee. Aaron Pinkerton from Tana Gilbert.
Yes, just one quick thing. We're working with our fire and Tomar to create a little video of how to utilize the preemption and how it works to share with our PD and fire. So they can have a little more training on how the preemption works, how the feedback with the lights mean. So that's something we're in the works now. It's probably gonna be a few months at least process as we go down that road, but we'll be happy to share that video out with you, that you guys can pass it on to your departments as well if you're using the Tomar with the feedback lights for preemption.
Duly noted, Aaron. We also may have interest from our ITS committee, so thank you so much for that.
Certainly.
Thank you. Austin Kennedy as proxy for Brandon Thorey from City of Peoria.
City of Peoria has nothing to report at this time.
Carl Langford from City of Phoenix.
Good morning, everyone. One item to report. The City of Phoenix has been installing several Hawks. We are actually up at number 89 that we turned on here a little more than a month ago. We anticipate being over 100 by at least the end of this calendar year, if not quite a bit beforehand. And then another item to note, we have recently hired a new pedestrian safety coordinator. Her name is Melissa Orlandini from Washington State. Just FYI, some of you may be working with her in the future.
Thank you, Carl. Dana Oziani from City of Surprise.
I have nothing additional. Thank you.
Thank you. Frank Ganani from City of Buckeye.
Morning, everybody. So City of Buckeye is conducting two MAG-funded Safe Route to School studies, and we're working with Kimley Horn on these projects. So one Safe Route to School study is at the Desert Sunset Elementary School, and the other project is at Tateso Elementary School. In addition to that, City of Buckeye, like Margaret did mention, we're also working on a MAG-funded road safety assessment, and we're working with HDR on this project. And this is at the intersection of Sundance Boulevard and Rainbow Road. Other than that, that's pretty much what we have going on as far as safety projects. And we just look forward to concluding these projects. Thank you.
Thank you. Kate Drunaski from Litchfield Park.
Nothing to report from the city of Litchfield Park this month.
Thank you. Nick Russo from El Mirage.
Nothing at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Rem Huang from City of Chandler.
Nothing from Chandler at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Sam Taylor from City of Scottsdale.
Yeah, just a couple things. Right now we're working on putting together our RFP for the Safe Streets for All plan that we're working on. We expect that to go out in late December, early January. That's the goal right now. We have also begun working with our police department on an educational campaign where they're working primarily through social media to do little short videos like that are educational, mainly aimed at trying to keep people driving slower and avoiding speeding and just teaching them about various different traffic control devices. But that's all I got right now.
Thank you. Stefan Bach from City of Mesa.
Mr. Chair, members of the MAG Safety Committee, I would like to report one item. As part of Mesa's traffic calming program, the Farmdale Traffic Calming Project is now under construction from Signal Butte Road to Cheshire and is expected to extend into next year. The 85th percentile speed were 10 to 15 miles an hour over the speed limit in 2014 and 2021 as reported, and crashes in this location were attributed to high speeds. The construction will consist of one speed table, which will allow for safe pedestrian access to the nearby park, 6 chicanes to bring down the speeds and associated signing and striping. Photo safety funding will be utilized for this project, and we are really happy to announce that this project is now moving forward. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you. Ward Stanford as proxy for Raj Thorum from City of Avondale.
Nothing from the city of Avondale this month.
Are there anyone we have missed online?
Before we go, Mr. Chair, I just wanted to again thank you for your leadership over the past couple of years. I don't know if all of you remember, but back when everything got shut down in March of 2020, we were the very first committee to hold a virtual technical committee meeting in MAG. And Shane helped us navigate through all of that. He's shown some great leadership. There's a lot that kind of goes on behind the scenes to plan these meetings and to get the agendas together. And the chair is the one that actually kind of approves those so that they get posted. So he's been kind of dragged around a little bit, and I just wanted to thank him for his support and his leadership over the past couple of years.
Thank you, Morgan. I just want to say too, it's been a pleasure and opportunity to serve the committee in the leadership role. And I just want to speak to Margaret's point. We, we made it through the COVID time, but overall, this has been easier than I thought. I think I attribute that to the MEG staff. Also, it's been more fun than I thought too. I've gotten to know MEG staff at a whole different level. I really enjoyed working with them and probably will miss working with them at that level. So for many of the committee members that, please think about being chair, vice chair. It is a great experience and like I said, easier than I thought. So I appreciate it. Thank you, Margaret. All right, we'll move on to, I think it is item number 10 to finish out the meeting. Item 10 is for information only, requests for future agenda items. This is the time for any, let's see, did we do, no. We didn't do that item. Okay. Have topics or issues of interest that would like to have considered or discussed at future meetings. So this is your time to bring anything up. All right, I don't hear any, but if you have any afterthoughts after the meeting, feel free to email myself or Margaret for any of those items for future meetings. We'll move on to item 11, next meeting date and place for the Transportation Safety Committee will be held at 10 a.m. Tuesday next year, January 23rd, 2024, correct? Attendance in person is encouraged. The coffee is good. Also, we have a lot of people here that are happy to be out of the office. So I really encourage you to be in person here. Virtual options will still be available. This is just for information only. Again, January 23rd, 2024, if that's in your calendar. And then I think that is it. So I'll go ahead and move to adjourn at 11:42. Thank you, everybody, and be safe.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you, Shane.